what we really want to happen is this sense of, as we are getting the questions right, this will grow, right? Because we don't want it to show like this right away. How do we do that? Well, we understand that the width of this button, which it is a button because we just used it and transformed it into something like that, okay? The width of it here, it says fill max width. Well, what we want to do is we want to have some sort of a factor, a progress factor that we can multiply by. And as we progress in our question answering, our trivia, we want to grow that factor. Because remember, in our fill max here, however, we can pass the fraction, which is the float that is multiplied by, it's just a multiplier that will affect the size or the width of the entire button. Because look, if I pass here, let's say I want a 30%, 0.3, F like this, what's going to happen now, you're going to see this is going to be smaller. The contents inside, right? The gradient. Voila, there you go. You can see that. So we are going to use that to our advantage. But then you will realize the first thing that has to come to mind is that we have to have some sort of state, right? So that as we click and say yes or select the correct answers and we go to the next question, this also has to be growing. Makes sense? So, okay, I'm going to create another val here. I'm going to call progress factor. It's going to be a remember, and it's going to be driven by, in this case, I'm going to have to pass here the score value that we're getting, because the idea is that as we increment the score, we're going to multiply that by a certain factor so we can see this progress. So here you can use any factor you want, but I found that this very tiny factor is probably the best, because the smaller the factor, the more opportunities we're going to have to actually get this filled up by the time we finish with 4,800 plus questions. Okay, so you can play around with this multiplier here. I'm going to say 0.005 F like this. Actually, my bad, it's just going to be score. That's going to happen inside here. So I'm going to say mutable state of, and the value is going to be score. I'm going to multiply that by 0.005 F like this. And then this progress factor, that is what we're going to pass inside of our width, inside of this button width, that value. Remember, we can always say by like this also. I have to import a few things like that. So that way we don't have to go and say that get value like that. Okay, so this is just a preference as we've seen before. So because the multiplier is really small, if I refresh this, it's not going to show anything. It's going to be really, really, really small. Actually, you can see a little bit, but once we put into our app, it should be very small. Okay, there you have it. Now let's see if we can add this to our main question display. So let's open up this again. So where are we going to add that? Well, we're going to add that at the top of our question and out of there, right? But what we're going to do also, we want to put an if statement, because we don't want to show it right away. We want to show it the moment they get to a certain level. Okay, so let's come up here. So where we have the question tracker right here. Before that, I'm going to put an if statement that will say if question index dot value is greater or equal to 3, right, then we're going to just show the progress. So we're going to wait for a bit until we have more than 3 questions answered. And for our score here, I'm going to say score. I'm just going to say question dot value, question index, get the value. So we're going to count the score by passing just the question index. But first it's going to be 0, and of course as they continue, we're going to increment 1 and so forth. And again, you can change this to your liking, but this works for me. All right, let's go ahead and run this on our emulator. Okay, let's see. Of course, nothing will show for a little bit. Voila. The moment we get to greater to 3, equal greater to 3, right index, then we can see a little bit is starting to show there and starting to grow, right? As we keep going. Oops. And there we go. Whoops. It's working. All right, very good. The next thing we want to do is, this is just for play, is that inside of our button, because we noticed that once we have that button, oh, what is it? Let's go to our composable, show progress that is, and you will see that now inside of this row scope here, we can pass some sort of text. I'm going to say text, which is going to be our score, right? So I'm going to say text and such, and I'm going to say score. I'm going to actually multiply that to make it a larger number, score. Whatever we're getting, I'm going to multiply that by 10. Okay, and I'm going to say that to string. So we are able to show in our text there. And then let's pass a modifier. The shape inside is going to be a rounded corner shape. From TDP. And max. Max height. I'm going to give it a fraction of about 0.087 f, because I found that that's the correct number. Okay, and max width, that's fine, takes the whole width, and let's give it a padding about 6 dp as such, and let's give a color. I'm gonna make the text off white. Oops. And text align, I'm going to say text align. I want this to be in the middle of the screen. All right, let's see. Now this is not going to show anything. Let's refresh, because we'll have to change our progress. We'll just get rid of this for now so we can see what we just added. Okay, let's refresh once again. I think, voila. So you can see now, at first it's going to be hidden and all smooshed in. That's fine. Just a little play that I'm doing here. And then at some point, the user are going to start seeing their score. Okay. Of course, you can change to whatever you want, but I just thought it would be really cool that your score won't reveal until you are far along. All right. So let's put back what we had here. So we have the progress. All right. Let's go ahead and run. Okay, let's try again. Okay, it's showing. So the same thing we had before, and as you know by now, we're not going to be able to see the actual text or the score until it's far along. But now you know that everything is working and is great. Right? Now, as an exercise, when users get the answer wrong, I know that we have here this red thing here. What you could do is you can actually subtract 1 or 2 from their score. Okay, that's something will be a good exercise for you to do. You can implement that. All right, so we're making really good progress here, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope that this inspires you to go and make another application, something similar, or make this better, because we have the data, you have the mechanics, everything is there for you. You can just go ahead and continue making this better. One of the things that you could do as an exercise, another exercise actually challenge, is to see how can you track, for instance, the score and save it, right? And also see if you could save the state of the questions. Meaning, if I get out of this app at this point, try to save the index so that next time they come back, they can go back to where they left it off. In this case, in this question. Okay. Now that may require a little bit of digging. So go ahead and figure out how can you save small pieces of data. In this case, you just want to save the score and you want to save the index when they leave the app, so that next time they come back, they can see their score. The score comes back. The last score comes back. But also, what will come back is the index, which will be passed onto the list, so they can see the question where they left off. Okay, take your time. It may take a little while, but you can do it.